Welcome to Game Soup. It's a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Chloe Montgomery, and I'm joined by your favourite kid on a bike's favourite kid on a bike,
Kayla Dice. I used to be such a kid on bike. I just mean as a child.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
I did ride around my neighbourhood a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I rode a bike to and from school, and also me and my brothers used to ride bikes a lot, and we'd get told off for riding bikes in the car park of a retirement home. We're like, we're just doing tricks on bikes, man. What I'm saying is I was a really cool kid, and that's why I'm a really cool adult.
I don't think you can have a cool adult who was a cool kid. I think you can be a cool kid or a cool adult.
I think that's true of teen. I think kid, you can be a cool kid and have ended up a cool adult, but you probably weren't a cool teen in between that.
Yeah, okay. Cool teen or cool adult, yeah.
Yeah. You can be cool kid, cool teen, probably not that cool an adult, or cool kid, teen, cool adult. You could be neither,
yeah, and
then just be cool as an adult.
You'd be a loser throughout your entire life, yeah.
Speaking of cool, the day this episode comes out, it is currently Norwich Gamescom, and if you're there, you can come and talk to me at Stall 51, where I'm there with 12 Pins Press, and I'm also doing some live shows throughout the day.
Wow. I didn't know you were going to be on live shows. What are those?
I'm doing a live This Is Your Life Path interview, and I'm GMing a wrestling thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm interviewing...
Is that going to be on the feed? Is that a special recording, or...?
The wrestling thing, I think, is not being recorded. The This Is Your Life Path thing, yeah, will go on the feed. So that's going to be a, between season special. It's going to be an interview with Leo Hunt, who did Vault Savant, which that should be exciting.
Nice.
We may as well pick up a thread from last week where I said I was going to go playtest Nemesis Revealed.
Yeah, how'd it go?
It's a really interesting experience, which I've not necessarily had with playtesting before, where I went, this was a really fun game, this was a really fun, session of play. I don't necessarily think the game made that happen. I think it was just that we were three good role players who got along with each other enough to, I don't think we ever, smoothed over stuff, but I'm also this is kind of just there. But in a way, the stuff that was good, I could see how it was quite good, and I could see changes on it. But it was interesting compared to, say, when I'd last did a playtester out of the fold, where I was like, this is great, and this works exactly as I want it to, and the way I've written the game is really leading to this fun play experience. Here it was more okay. Tweets.
We found the fun despite the game.
Yeah, maybe not entirely despite, but not because of, with a couple of sort of exceptions or stuff. Should I explain more about how the game ended up working, or did I do that last week?
I can't remember.
Well, I think I said it was
dice... In case you missed last week's episode.
Yeah, I said it was dice pool stuff. In terms of, you're building a dice pool in an individual scene, that's giving you, a bigger dice pool for your final showdown where you're, designating all of your dice to actions. The way it worked as written was that, there was a narrator role who would frame a scene, a nemesis role, and then everyone else would be cast. And, in the final showdown, someone would play the hero, but otherwise the hero wouldn't appear at all. And those roles would rotate. And one thing I realized was, there was a handful of rules which were cool and could add stuff, but I'm these aren't really being picked up because people just having to be the narrator for one scene means they're not, aware of everything they can pull on. And also, it took a lot more sort of, I think, out of character scenes to, out of character conversation to get to where we were framing our stuff. So part of me is I think the narrator should be a static role. I think this is not a GM-less game anymore.
Yeah, it's a problem I've had with B.O.B. games is that you get a setting element and then you just forget about some of them.
Yeah.
It's one or two is important and then you forget about the rest, or you hold on to one the entire game and then just don't use your own character, or you get stuck in your own character and then don't do the narrative stuff.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I get that.
I think having a dedicated keeper
yeah,
can be
definitely.
helpful.
I think that could lead you to guiding the story a bit more. It could make a lot of genre stuff easier. It still like can be a storytelling game where everyone's like adding in things and stuff, but I think it would probably work better with a single narrator. The other thing, and this was feedback I got from the people I played with, was like, oh, the character like you pre-wrote was very interesting, and it was a shame we only got to sort of see them once. And also saying like it felt harder to maybe like guide the story, and like the showdown scene felt like a big pop. And so the suggestion there was there are a couple of different suggestions. One suggestion was, oh, maybe the game should be all showdowns building to like a bigger showdown. And I was like, nah, I like the sneaking around like working towards that. So my current idea is that like I'll alternate scenes between where you're the nemesis and where you're the hero, and you're both doing challenges, you're both building your own pools, and it's a weird thing where the GM is static, but in my mind here, I'm like, you still rotate nemesis and hero and supporting character stuff each scene.
Yeah.
What do you think about adding the hero?
It's a strange one. I mean, I in my head, I'm thinking about how, like, bear with me, Sonic Adventure 2, both Shadow and Sonic have their storylines that intersect at different points, but they have their own independent storylines, which makes it work. I think if it's just like you only see one half of that, then it doesn't entirely work. So I think having the two storylines could work.
Yeah, I think it also means the playsets can be more useful for stuff beyond just vague setting stuff, because it's like I've got some supporting characters which in theory you can pick up, but like you're not going to use them all as the nemesis, whereas like, oh no, they'd be really helpful as the hero. And I think the element of like my worry is when I like do the hero series was I was like, oh, does this mean the playsets just don't make sense and you should also make the hero? But I do think some of the fun is like creating someone who is specifically designed as like another character's counter, and I think that's funner if the character already exists a bit. And there's an appendix in the game on making your own guy.
Yeah, it's like I think you do need other people for the hero to bounce off of, because then they can be like comparing these other people to the rival, and it's like, oh, I see where the rival's coming from now, or like I see that the rival is just so much worse than everyone else now, sort of stuff. It like gives them a like sounding point, like touching points for the world, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of the minor tweak is I was, for like the challenge rolls, as I was using reputations your character had, and they like worked alright, but like in talking in the sort of like post-session debrief, the suggestion of, oh, maybe their strengths and weaknesses, and then more granular came up, and I was like, that's way better. That's funner for the kind of story this is. And also, it means I can kind of weigh stuff to the hero in a way that's a bit less obvious, because it can be like, oh yeah, in character creation, you make 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses for your nemesis. The hero has 4 strengths and 2 weaknesses.
Yeah. So
like
I'm better than you.
Yeah, they're better than you, and they're not like an obsessive weirdo.
Maybe that's just always one of the nemesis' weaknesses. Obsessive.
Yeah, that would be fun actually. But yeah, and also like, so that means I can do it. I think I've done like a quick redraft of like tweaking a lot of the dice pool questions. That's more just granular stuff. Like I saw like, oh, okay, the dice roll, the way it worked out works. Like a lot of the stuff I think didn't work about like where in terms of where it was, I say the mechanics weren't supporting the game. I kind of mean more the structure of play wasn't supporting the game. So I think it's more about like restructuring what a session looks like. And I think some of it is me thinking more about the fact that like, yes, when I would run this game, I'd be running it as a one-shot. So what's the best one-shot experience when this game? And like the stuff for like, oh, if you're playing loads because you want to, play out the enemies to Lover's Arc, you can kind of start deviating from the structure more because you need that stuff less.
Yeah, I think build the game how you would play it, and then add extra ways to play it later for that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I can then just very easily, if I have, like... I think rotating hero and nemesis roles are still fun, because I think I do see this semi-more, like, storytelling first. Though I think I'll probably make a note that, like, hey, if you're playing this with 3 players, feel free to have one person be the hero, one person the nemesis, and then they are just, you know, being the supporting characters in each other's scenes.
Set roles, yeah.
But otherwise, that can be locked. Whereas, like, oh, if you're over 4, you know... And so I'll probably write it default, because in my mind, I'd probably be playing with over 4. But, like, the appendix stuff is, oh, here's varieties. But... Yeah, if I finish this rewrite, we could... Oh, I do have one last thing I'm, like, weighing up about it. If I finish this rewrite, we could do it as, like, as a playtest kitchen bonus episode or something if you wanted, because it could work with 3.
Yeah. Who would be our third?
We're looking for a third.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We saw you from
So
across
moving
the
swiftly
bar.
on.
Oh, my last question was, I'm wondering whether I should change revealed
across
to
the
another
LTS.
word.
Unveilings. I don't know, dude.
I meant, like, yeah, maybe something that's less about, like, unmasking. Like, if it was, like, Nemesis Refined or whatever. But moving on.
Oh, you mean in the title?
Yeah.
Okay. Nemesis Revealed. Just add a colon. That means nothing, but...
Sure. Yeah, moving on. You had an idea?
Yeah, I had a terrible idea at 5 a.m. when I was delirious at work.
So all your best ideas come from...
Doctor Who Miniatures Wargame. I don't know if there's a You can't play as the Doctor. You play as all of their baddies. So you've got a Dalek army. You've got a Cybermen army. You've got Santarans and whatever other one-off shitheads, Absorbalofts you want to play
Don't
as.
do that. Zygon would be an army, I guess.
I think you could have Zygons as like a support in any other army. Maybe they're like infiltrators.
I guess it depends how many factions you want and how many are your big ones. Because I do feel like, yeah, in terms of who can have armies, or who makes sense as an army even, your options get more limited.
Our big launch with at UKGE, who are the 4 armies that you expect to see in a Doctor Who wargame?
Dalek, Cybermen, Sontaran. I don't know who the, like, lock 4th is.
I think it's Unit.
That works. Yeah, if you are... Because if I guess you are having a nominal hero.
Yeah, like, they get whomped every time, but, like...
But it feels really good to win with Unit, though, because it's probably quite hard.
Yeah, exactly. They're the scrappy underdog every time. So it's like, my idea for each of these armies is like, Daleks, you have like 1 or 2 Daleks. That's your entire army. Like, Cult of Skaro, like, you have 4 guys who can take on like 1,000 Cybermen sort of shit. I think... Can Cybermen convert people to their army, maybe?
Yeah, which I guess means, other than Unit, you probably do need to have, like, innocent bystanders.
But wouldn't a Cyber Dalek be fucking sick?
Like, yes! I guess you could write rules for that. See if it ends up in the show then after.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I do like the idea of innocent bystanders, partly because I'm like, oh yeah, maybe Unit are always going to lose their battle, but their objective is also partly how many people do they rescue. And like, for Cybermen, they're like...
Side objectives, yeah.
Yeah, they have like conversion quotas, whereas like, for Daleks, they're like, well, we want to kill everyone. If we find out there was a human left alive on the board, that's kind of... It's not a mission failure, but it's kind of an embarrassment.
Yeah, negative points.
Yeah,
I like this having like it's Warhammer isn't just about kill everybody. They have objectives, like you have to capture control points and shit. So I like that it is like focused on, oh yeah, save the bystanders, convert them, kill them. Like the Zygons, you could just suddenly be like, oh yeah, this bystander was a Zygon, now I'm going to shoot you. Because you tried to get up close and convert them.
I like that. Have you ever played the board game Root?
The one with the animal people?
Yeah.
I've sort of played it once. I got like halfway through a session.
Fair, because that's like vaguely wargamey. But also I remember there's like the one faction / character whose thing is like, well, everyone else is like factions doing wargame stuff. You have your own side, like almost like side quest objectives to accomplish as like a single individual around the battlefield, and that's how you win. It's a completely different win condition. And I like the idea of like, I guess if you're saying like, no, this is locked to enemies, being like, oh yeah, you can also play the Master, who does not play like a wargame at all.
Oh yeah, no, I think the Master is one. You have lots of different miniatures for all the different guys.
Oh, okay, here's like a pre-order bonus you've got to have though for the Master character. If they're not in the launch, like if you're doing, oh, there's the 4 armies, and then it's like the Master Plan DLC or whatever.
Yeah, the Master's like year 1, like this is how we get people back into the game a year later.
Yeah, you not only have the miniatures, as a pre-order bonus you get teeny tiny miniature versions of the miniatures, which represent the Master having tissue compression them.
The little matchboxes.
Yeah! You'd come on, tell me you wouldn't love that.
I'd love that.
I like how this podcast did begin with me saying how cool I was, and now we're just nerding out over Doctor Who.
Now we're talking about Doctor Who. I feel like this segment's impenetrable for people who aren't Doctor Who nerds like us, but, you know, deal with it. Go listen to the first segment again, I guess.
Depending on the time, I might have a third game for you, so I guess you can, you know, try and jump ahead. Do we have any more to say on this Doctor, other than, like, Doctor Who Wargame? That would be fun, and some ideas of how you do it.
What's the gimmick with the Sontarans?
I don't know, because Sontarans are, like, they're fun episode-wise, but their thing is always they're just doing war, which is not so meaningfully distinct. I don't know, I don't really know enough war games. I'm like, oh yeah, there's probably a great distinction you could make between how Daleks would play versus Sontarans, because they're very, like, rule-based and honor-based.
Yeah, I think, like, Sontarans have, like, really traditional, like, wargamey, like, roll to hit, then roll to damage shit. But then, like, Daleks are just like, yeah, we always hit, and we always kill.
But yeah, if you're doing the limit... I guess that's like the big difference between them. It's if you're going with the gimmick of like, no, this is not a Dalek army, this is like a Dalek strike force, who are all that is needed to be equal to an army.
Skaro.
Yeah. I think in that...
have the Executioner Daleks.
Yeah.
Whatever.
In that case, like, that makes them immediately quite distinct from the Sontaran, who are like a kind of like traditional war force, and the Cybermen, who are the conversion gang, and Unit, who are, you know, rescue operatives. Like, I think they're like 4 discrete sides there. Also, like Sontaran minis are probably fun.
Yeah, every faction has their own, like, way to play it, like, rules. Like I'm saying, like, Daleks always hit. Like, I think Unit has, like, political stuff. The Cybermen obviously have their conversion stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently there was a Doctor Who wargame, but it died after like 2 years. So, you know.
The license is open.
It was up. Disney / Bad Wolf, whoever.
I assume it'd still be the people licensing it out, though. I actually don't know. Like, I assume maybe they license it, but Bad
BBC
Wolf has a
Worldwide.
veto or whatever.
Russell, if you're listening, Shooty. What was your third idea?
Yeah, it's just because, to be fair, usually if I expected you to be begging on the podcast for Shooty to call you, I didn't expect it would be for a license arrangement.
What else would it be for?
He's really hot.
I'm not into guys.
Oh, yeah. I was so bisexual for a second. I forgot about the existence of lesbians.
Thank you for listening to
Oh, okay.